to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We are going to talk today about AEW Dynamite, this being a tremendously huge week in pro wrestling, so there's a lot of stuff to cover this week, a lot of videos to make, and I appreciate you guys for checking out my channel. But before we get to that, if you do like this channel, and you do like videos like this, then take your little finger and go hit that like button. Make sure it turns blue or black, depending on where you are. That helps the YouTube algorithm let other fans know that I talk about AEW Dynamite and maybe they might have an interest in this video, so I appreciate it again very much. So Dynamite this week, I was not expecting much from the show, but it actually wound up, well, the first half of it and then the last quarter of it, there was a little part in the middle that was a little shaky, but most of the show was damn good. It started out with a crazy opening match. Sting and Darby Allin taking on 2.0, Sting's first actual in-ring match on TNT or even a Turner broadcast system since what, 2001? And it's He knew what was coming up and he brought it. This was just nothing but craziness from start to finish. They're in the crowd, they're out the crowd, they're over here, they're over there. There's double team spots. Darby Allin's throwing his body everywhere. The greatest thing about this match though was the finish, in which Sting took a double powerbomb from 2.0 through a table in a ring, and the fans, as soon as they saw this was going to happen, fans were like, because we all remember how Sting got injured in WWE from a buckle powerbomb from Seth Rollins. At the time, a lot of us thought that was the end of Sting's career, so them doing a double powerbomb through a table, yikes, I don't know. They also brought up Sting's injury that actually happened in 1990, not 89. It wasn't a match, he was just climbing a cage, but they always talk about how us fans remember this stuff more than the broadcasters and the people actually did it do. But yeah, that came up in this match, but the powerbomb, Sting just no-sold, got up, beat his chest. The expression on 2.0's faces were great. Those guys, if they didn't get where they should have gotten to in NXT, I think AEW is going to know how to use those guys. And I think AEW is almost going to make it a point to know how to use these guys the right way. But Sting comes back, goes up against them. Darby Allin gives him a double drop, or gives him a single drop kick to both of them. Sting gets them both, does the double scorpion death drop, and then goes, I thought he was going to stack him up for the coffin drop, but instead he did a double scorpion deathlock on 2.0, got the submission from both of them and won the match. It was a great opening match. Now, yes, I do think Sting has done that before, although I can't exactly remember where I saw it. And we know Natalya, somebody brought up, Natalya did it, and he's copying Natalya. Yes, I'm sure Sting, who's been using these Scorpion Deathlocks since before Bret Hart was using the Sharpshooter, copied this move from Natalya. So, yes, but anyway, this was a great opening match to start the show. We also had Dan Lambert making his appearance back on. He had Junior Del Santos with him. I was like, holy shit. How are you not making a big deal about Junior being in the ring? Anyway. So he called out anybody who was going to come out and attack him. Lance Archer comes back out. Lance Archer has not been having a good week. He comes back out. He's going to confront these guys, which I was interested in seeing. But then Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page come out and beat up Lance Archer from the back, which I guess is giving Archer and them something to do, because I was mentioning the other day, it's like, since the whole coffin match, I haven't seen Ethan Page and not much of Scorpio Sky there. For those of you AEW fans who did not watch the New Japan show, Lance Archer lost the U.S. Championship to Hiroshi Tanahashi this past weekend, so Archer's on a bit of a slide right now, as he tends to be, unfortunately. But I think this would be a good way for him to show his dominance again, and I'm really curious as to where this is going with Lambert and Archer. Jake Roberts wasn't here either, so yeah, this is something to keep an eye on. Right now, it's a lukewarm response to this, but this could get good. We'll have to see where it's going. Yes, the usual good promos when they're not wrestling on the show. You can always count on Britt Baker and Miro to have some great interviews, and they did this week. Miro's in particular. Miro always sneaks in these lines about his hot wife. He's like, during the day, I will serve my God, and at night, serve my hot wife. It's like, I love Miro. I absolutely love Miro's character. It's one of the. He's just so deadpan funny about being this psychopathic big brute monster who also just has these weird quirks. It just works very well for me. But now, you see where we're going for All Out. He has called out Eddie Kingston That's going to be good. Wouldn't be an AEW Dynamite without the Elite coming out. The Elite had their little thing. Of course, the Bucks had their tag team title defense against Jurassic Express. Oh my God, there's Jurassic Express over. Jungle Boy was the highlight in this match, though. Jungle Boy was doing all kinds of stuff. I can't even describe it. There were like 3 or 4 moves in this match that just looked amazing. He is going... Like, before people kept saying that, oh, Jungle Boy's going to be great, Jungle Boy's going to be great. I was like, well, you know, he's average in the ring. But this match, he showed me this kid's got some stuff. And he is going to be a mega star. There's one crazy move he did. Well, there's a lot of them. But there's one crazy move Jungle Boy did. He was on the top rope. Luchasaurus was standing in front of him. He jumped off the top rope. His ankles and shins hit Luchasaurus's shoulders, which then propelled him into a swanton. I don't even know physically how you do that. Just the physics behind that is great. I was like, wait, how did he do that? That was pretty damn good. There was one where he almost botched it. He almost fell off of Luchasaurus when he was going for a superplex off of Luchasaurus' shoulders onto, I think it was Nick Jackson, but he pulled it off. Nick landed really awkwardly in that move, though. But man, there's the near falls in this match. There was so many of them where we thought there was going to be a pin. There wasn't. You thought the Jurassic Express was going to be winning the tag team titles, which would make sense at this point. But man, the Bucks, you can't shortchange them either. The Young Bucks continue to prove that they are the best tag team of this era. Well, they're also booking themselves, but still, they are one of the best tag teams of this era. And their comebacks and just everything in this match was very, very crisp and moved well. It was constant, nonstop action. It was absolutely fun. The Bucks did wind up retaining, desperately pulling out a BTE trigger on Jungle Boy. It's like they caught him. They're like, oh, let's get this over with because these guys are kicking our ass. And they got the win by the skin of their teeth over Jurassic Express. That was pretty awesome. I want to see Jurassic Express win the tag titles right now after this match. It's then announced that we're going to have a tag team tournament to determine who's going to face the Young Bucks at All Out, and it's going to be Private Party taking on the Jurassic Express this Friday on Rampage, which should be a damn good match. Omega and Don Callis had their usual stuff. Their Christian did a run-in during the match, the tag team match there with the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express. Kenny Omega was trying to put out a chair, and they were going to do the same spot again, which I don't know why you would do that when it made you lose last time, but Christian came out and beat up on him. Don Callis had an interview with Christian earlier on. They did not do what I thought they were going to do, which was say this is going to be a winner-take-all match and All Out. That may still come up. But for right now, it's Don Callis really being upset at the fact that Christian has the upper hand and they're trying to play mind games with him. And Christian's like, you ain't going to do it. You're not in my head. I'm in your head. You get the hell out of here. But the capper of all this is that apparently Tony Schiavone let the Elite know that Tony Khan had said whoever wins this tag team tournament will face the Young Bucks at All Out inside of a steel cage, which that is pretty cool. I can't remember the last time I saw the Bucks in a cage match, like a legitimate tag team steel cage match, traditional steel cage match. So that should be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that one now. Whoever wins out of those teams, and it's either going to be Penta El Cerro Miedo. I'm thinking it's Penta and Phoenix for the way the storyline's going right now. They're going to be the ones to probably take on the Bucks, and I think there might be some crossover storyline stuff there. And I love when wrestling takes a plot line here and a plot line here and these stories, and they kind of weave them together to advance both stories. I think we're in for some good stuff at All Out with the middle of the card. Speaking of El Idolo, PAC is basically threatened El Idolo. I'm not quite sure where this all is going, but if it is going to be that Andrade is going to be starting in Los Ingobernables de Elite with Penta and Phoenix, and they're going to be leaving PAC, I think All Out is going to be the show. Because if Phoenix and Penta are in this cage match with the Elite and they wind up winning that tag match because of Andrade, or they lose it because of PAC, I think that's going to go further to the storyline that's going on. And of course, PAC and Andrade in a match I'm very, very much looking forward to are going to meet at All Out. So again, the All Out card is stacking up pretty nicely. Sammy Guevara, how can we not talk about this? Sammy Guevara got proposed to his girlfriend at this show. It was his big announcement. She accepted. Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard mocked it. Going into their match that they were going to have tonight on Dynamite, Shawn Spears tried to get the advantage. Boy, he is a good heel. Shawn Spears is real. You know what? Shawn Spears is underrated. There's something about him that just doesn't click, but he is so good at what he does. there's just this one piece of, you feel like this is like one piece about him that's missing. That if he got that one little piece, he'd be amazing, because he's a great wrestler. He's got a decent look. He's great he's great as a heel. I mean, he was going after Sammy's fiance. He was doing a lot of really nasty crap. The two of them went balls to the wall. There was one spot where they were both had hopped onto the top rope, and Spears flipped off Sammy. So Sammy's like, all right then, and hit him with this nasty ass cutter from the top rope. Oh my God, Sammy Guevara, another one, is going to be another major star. The finishes were crazy too, because they pulled out a barricade and strung it between the rope and the barricade outside the ring. So the barricade outside the ring. So the exposed metal bars of the barricade was hanging over the top. We've seen this spot before of ladders and chairs and stuff, but this was the steel barricade, and they kept teasing who was going to fall on top of it. Eventually, it was Sammy who did dump Shawn Spears onto the damn thing. It bent, which looked nasty. That must have sucked to take. Got threw Spears back into the ring, got on the top rope, hit his big flippy splash, and it landed he landed flush right in the middle of Shawn Spears' abdomen. It looked hard. Ooh. I was like, the match is over. The match is over. No, Shawn Spears kicked out. That earned the look of gas, because usually when somebody kicks out of those holes, and the person goes, and then they focus on their face. I'm like, really? Come on, just get back into the match. But this one definitely deserved the look of awe, because the other person kicked out. Because she should not have kicked out of that. And some people complain about it, but I think it adds to Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears needs this. They continued on with the match. Shawn Spears hit his Death Valley driver from off the top rope. Still couldn't put down Sammy. But ultimately, it was Sammy's version of the go to sleep that got the win. He celebrated with his wife. He got a little cut somewhere in his head somewhere. He was bleeding a little bit. But he was dude was as happy as hell. Dude was happy. Sammy Guevara has had two of the most feel-good moments in AEW Dynamite over the last week, with presenting his friend Fuego del Sol with a contract to AEW, and then getting engaged on the show, getting accepted, and having a damn good banger of a match with Shawn Spears. I mean, damn, Sammy is on fire right now. Jon Moxley's promo near the end of the show, that was fire. Oh my God, Moxley's just talking about... Now, I was wondering if he's going to bring up the New Japan stuff. He didn't specifically name it, but he was talking about people coming in and talking to Danny Garcia, who he's, oddly enough, going to be facing in the main event of AEW Rampage, which is not the main event I thought they would have for such a big show this week, which also makes me think something big's going to happen now, because the matches for this week's Rampage are not outside of the tag team match, none of it stands out to me as like, oh my God. But yeah, I don't know what hell's about to go. We don't know what hell's about to coming up Friday. I have a really sinking feeling that 1 hour show is going to go by really quick, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that people are just going to go holy crap on. But Moxley basically had a call to war, warning Garcia, like, Garcia, do you really want to be here? I mean, if you're coming to AEW, everybody wants to come to AEW. You want to come at me in the main event spot? You might die. And he threw warning. He threw shade at Hangman Page. It's like, you're not really a cowboy. That would be interesting if the next feud is Hangman and Jon Moxley. That would be a good one. He threw shade at Kenny Omega. Of course, they're going to probably have an ongoing on-again, off-again feud. They're kind of like the Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair of AEW is Kenny Omega, and very much so, actually. Yeah, very much so is Kenny and Moxley are the Dusty and Flair of AEW. In the main event, though, we had the final trial of Jericho, which went the way I thought it was going to go. Jericho finally getting MJF, but Jericho's been beaten down over the last 4 weeks. It didn't work to MJF's advantage. This match was still a good match. Of all the matches, it's the best match out of the 5 trials, because the first match with Shawn Spears was okay. The Nick Gage match, depending if you like that kind of stuff, you were in love with it, but it was a little bit too much for me. The Hoovy match, there was a lot of botches in it, and the Wardlow match was just basically Wardlow beating the crap out of Jericho for 10 minutes until Jericho got a Judas Effect win. But this was a solid wrestling match between the two of these guys. Some great spots. Jericho hit his lion salt, looked awesome. MJF at one point tries to beat Jericho with the lion tamer, the walls of Jericho. And for a moment, I thought he was going to do it, but he didn't. Of course, the stipulation in this match is that Jericho cannot use the Judas effect, which was a brilliant stipulation. The way they booked it was great. But they also couldn't have the Judas song. But of course, the crowd in Houston sang Judas. They sang the whole first bar and the chorus. Sung Jericho. That is one of the coolest entrances. We knew it was going to happen, but it was just cool to finally see it. The crowd, most of the crowd knowing all of the words to the Judas song. The crowd sung to the ring. Jericho was tickle pink by this. And it's, I mean, again, it's a cool thing. That's part of the thing with AEW, is that you get to see things like this for Jericho, things like this for Sammy Guevara, things like this for Fuego del Sol, things that make you, that we as fans who like these characters know that this character is having something really awesome happening for them, and we're happy for them because we like the characters. It's a novel concept to have happen in wrestling. But all the back and forth between Jericho and MJF in the match was really, really good. And then at the end of the day, though, it was too much for the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. And MJF got on his salt of the earth Fujiwara armbar, cranked on that thing, cranked on it. Jericho almost got out of it, almost got the quick pin I thought he was going to get. But no, MJF kept at it. And at the end of the day, strangely enough, Jericho had to tap out. The last match in a trial against MJF. MJF leaves the ring. It's like, I'm 3-0 against you, Jericho. You're done. And I do think this is it for Jericho and MJF. Now, storyline-wise and character-driven wise, this is brilliant because Jericho has now passed the torch to MJF. MJF has beaten Jericho 3 times now. And MJF is now elevated now to a higher status, because he has beaten Chris Jericho, a legend in wrestling in general, and the main attraction for the first year of AEW. MJF has now leapfrogged him. And that is Jericho giving back to the business and making sure that this guy, and he did it to a guy that deserved it. This is kind of like the opposite. Not to rag on WWE, but this is kind of like not to the magnitude, but this is similar to what people were expecting when The Undertaker lost his streak, that The Undertaker would be passing that on to a young and up-and-coming wrestler who was really good and was going to be able to go somewhere with it. And I only bring that up, again, not to rag on WWE, but that's an example of what people were talking about with that. This is what people were expecting with that if you were going to have somebody who was a veteran like Jericho of that star magnitude pass on something like that to a wrestler, it should be a younger, up-and-coming wrestler who has a lot of talent. MJF is definitely that. MJF definitely, no matter where he winds up, and I think he's going to be in obviously he'll be in AEW for a while, but even if he jumps ship and goes somewhere else in the future, MJF is going to be one of the biggest stars of this business for the next 10 years. This was fantastically done. I liked it, and now I'm very curious as to where they're going to go, because neither one of those guys have a match for All Out. I don't think Jericho will have a match, but MJF, I can't imagine him keeping him off of the All Out card, so we'll see. We'll have to see. We got 3 more shows before All Out, so yeah. This was a great episode of AEW Dynamite. It was just a far better episode than I thought it was going to be. I was kind of like, it's going to be all right, but then after the first match with Darby and Sting and 2.0 set the tone for the rest of the night. The only down segments of the night were the one with the Team Taz and then Paul Wight, which was a little bit better. It just went on too long with Paul Wight announcing that All Out he's going to be facing Marshall. And I can't even say his name. It is Marshall. That they're going to have a match at All Out, which it could have been a shorter segment, but outside of those 2 segments and the women's match having a couple of problems, 90% of this AEW Dynamite was a freaking banger. You gotta watch it. It was a very good show. So it's definitely getting my recommendation. This is back. The last 2 weeks were kind of okay. This is back to those wow, Dynamite's freaking crazy. So I want to know what you guys thought about it, though. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. If you like this video, of course, hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, and share this video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you talk about pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You can check over here for some of my stuff that I've got on my other channel. I am doing a Mass Effect 3 playthrough, so if you're into gaming, you can check that out. And I will be back later this week for more news, rumors, and commentary here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.